Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us, and thank you for coming back once more to our next edition of Work Smarter Wednesdays. Today's webinar will be really focused on the Autodesk Construction Cloud again. We want to just cycle round what's new in this product. Obviously, it was brought to market properly in February or March of this year, and it's advanced greatly over that time. So we just wanted to go back through some of the key advancements, make sure that you guys have been made aware of them, and make sure that you're able to get value from them if you have already purchased the Autodesk Construction Cloud. In order to do that, I've been joined by Steve Rudge and Rob Torres from our consultancy and delivery team here at Symetri, who are very much the experts in this area, and will be talking us through those in a little bit more detail. So a quick run through of the agenda. We've got the introduction to Work Smarter Wednesdays as always, which will be done by myself, and then we'll move into an overview of Autodesk Construction Cloud that, as mentioned, will be delivered by Steve and Rob, who will also then pile into the what's new element. And then, as always, we will have some time at the end of the session for questions and answers. If you have questions and answers during the presentations, please stick them in the chat, and we will make sure we address them at the end of the presentations. So just very quickly, an overview of Symetri and what we do as an organization. We look to support the full building life cycle. So from the end client specification of what they require through the design and build processes, and then also linking into the manufacture and the supply of elements of the building, elements that are to be fitted within the building as well. We provide software, training, support, consultancy, IT solutions, document management, and project delivery. So a big element of our business is providing Autodesk software, but it's very much more than that. It's about successfully implementing, successfully delivering that software in a way that brings real value to our customers. And that's underpinned by some of our IT technology and document management solutions. We set this team up at the start of the year. It's very much a growing team. There are guys here who have got huge experience in both sales and delivery of construction projects. We're also bringing through some younger blood who give us interesting insights into how technology of the future should be looking and keep us on our toes. We focus in three main areas. So we've got the implementation and adoption services. So we sell technology, we help you install that technology, and we help you maximize that technology. So we help you get real value out of it. We've got our project support services, which is where we will put people on site. We will have them stand shoulder to shoulder with your delivery teams and ensure that all your projects are being delivered in a BIM compliant fashion. The technology has been adopted and used in the real world, and is bringing real benefit to you. And the delivery at the end of the project is suitable to hand over to client, or the client, if we're representing the client, gets the delivery they're looking for at the end of any construction project. The third area is around digital transformation, which is where we sit and evaluate where you are as a business in terms of your digital construction projects, what technology you've adopted, what's going well, what's not going well, how you want to evolve, where you want to be in the future, and then work with you to put a plan in place for adoption of technology, changes of process in order to become the best that you guys can be. Our projects, so you may recognize some of these. We put projects at the center of everything we do. We want to understand what our client's building, why they're building it, and how we can best help them to deliver it in a efficient and compliant fashion. So, as I said, very much the center of everything we do and think about. In terms of software, we partner up with a number of different providers, Autodesk, as I mentioned, being the largest partner we have, but we like to provide solutions that meet all of the needs of our customers. So we've got the likes of MATLABs and Oculo for sort of application archiving, or Oculo for the on-site visualization tools. And where we can't partner with somebody, we will create our own products. So we've created the Navigate toolset, which sits on top of Revit and Civil 3Ds and looks at making processes within those applications, Revit and Civil 3D, more effective and more efficient. Civilia does the same on the manufacturing side, so on top of Inventor. And then we've got CQ Flex, and CQI, which allow you to manage your deployment of applications and then monitor usage of those applications moving forwards as well. Without further ado, I will hand over to Rob, who will introduce us and talk us through what's new in the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Cheers, Rob.
Thank you very much. I'll just share my screen. So I'm Rob Torres, a consultant within the construction division of Symetri. I'm going to have a little look today at some of the new features that have been released recently in Autodesk Construction Cloud. So the first one we're going to look at is in Desktop Connector. Not sure if you're familiar with it, but it essentially lets you browse and open your Docs project files from within Windows Explorer. So they've recently added the ability to open files online, excuse me, which is going to be particularly useful. For example, if you didn't have perhaps the modeling software that the file was made in, you can just right click on the file. It's going to open it up in the web for you, take you straight to your project, straight to the information you want to get to. And obviously, if you don't have that software installed locally, you'll start to be able to look through your files, investigate, navigate through them as you would if you had the software installed on your desktop. Yeah, okay, so that was the Desktop Connector one. If we move on, new features in Build. So there's now an auto tag feature. This is with the Photos section. So tags in the Photos tool lets you sort of label them so you can organize and help you find photographs in your project. This tool it now automatically tags them for you. So it's currently a beta thing. So it's in progress. It's sort of going to identify what the contents of your photographs are using machine learning. I think initially it's got a sort of limited 20, 30 different tags that it can use. But essentially, as you upload them, it reviews the contents in the background, automatically starts to try and identify what's going on, what the contents of them are. So if we have a little look at this one here, as they come in. So first one we can see there, it's picked up floor finishes, it's picked up switches and outlets. Moving onwards, I think it's going to do the same again. It's managed to identify that one's a switch outlet, even though it hasn't got the faceplate on it. Equally sync, pretty obvious. And lastly, leave some conduit there. So that's doing that automatically. There's nothing to set up. There's nothing to configure or maintain. So just an easy free win, better data, easier to get around, easier to search for your information there. So potentially really, really useful. Also within photographs, while we're here, is the ability now to reverse reference your things. So previously, if you wanted to add photographs to an asset or a form or something, you have to do it from that object. You can now do it the other way around. So you can go to your photograph and then select what you want to reference. So it could be an asset, a form, a submittal, a sheet. And you just select the one you want to associate your photograph with, and you can now do it that way rather than from the object itself. Excuse me. So yeah, you should just be able to click on that, select, for example, an asset maybe, and then make that association. So the other way around, rather than doing it from the asset, we can just select that there, and now the association is made. Moving onwards, we're going to look at some issues stuff. So here, new functionality, which sort of brings a bit of parity with what we had in 360 previously, is the ability to bulk edit these. So previously, if you wanted to make a change to something that existed in here, you have to do them one by one. We can now do this. We can select multiple ones at once, update a single field, and then get it updated for multiple ones. So perhaps you've assigned it to the wrong subcontractor, perhaps it's the wrong issue type. We can just click on edit and update the same field for all of the ones that we've got selected there. So in this example, we might change the type, it's incorrect, or it could be any one of these. We can update all of them. So obviously you save you a lot of time, can get a bit long-winded doing that otherwise. Within forms, so a little bit additional functionality now. So previously, you could only import your forms from existing Autodesk build. So these are the templates, sorry, that we're talking about. This has now been updated. We can now do this from PlanGrid. We can also do this as well, this is slightly out of date, we can do this as well from BIM 360. So when you've done, already used one of these systems, you've already configured your forms, your checklist, you've spent that time and done all that. Now you can bring these straight in here. You haven't got to recreate them. You don't have to rebuild them. It's obviously potential to save you quite a lot of time there as well. We're going to now look into design collaboration, and in particular, a new feature here is called watch lists. So this is quite an interesting feature. It's essentially the ability to monitor the contents of another team's models. So in this example here, I'm an MEP consultant. I might be particularly interested perhaps in some elements of the architect's model. So on the changes tab on the left-hand side here, I can set up what are essentially different groups of elements that I want to watch, different categories of things. So I've set up here ceilings, doors, internal walls. I can, and it's going to then flag any changes within these groups as their models are updated. So you can pop these out. You can see a little bit more detail on exactly what I've set up the groups. And then if I were to click on one of these, it's going to take me to the change visualization engine that's built into Docs, and it's going to actually specifically highlight the watch groups I've created, and I'll be able to start to review what's added, what's removed, what's changed, but particularly it's going to pick out those items from these watch groups, so where they're particularly important for you, where they're going to create the biggest impact. You know, these changes are going to cause you the greatest impact in your designs, etc. These are going to really highlight these to you, flag them to you very quickly. So moving on then, last thing I'm going to look at here really is as an account level item, and it's the templating of projects. So obviously really important. The more you can template, the quicker you're going to be able to set up your projects as you're moving through them. So the first thing is really that they've added quite a lot of functionality in what you can template across all the different modules. So we'll look firstly at what you can do with the docs templating. So within here, obviously previously you could set up the folder structure, you could configure the permissions. Additionally, now we can start to set up custom attributes. So in the same way as you would in a normal project, you can come in here, start to add new attributes. You can work out, set which folders you're assigning them to, and obviously that will be in your template. And also we can set up and configure these issue categories and issue types, and they will all come across as well. Within build, within the forms area, with your templates, we can now obviously, you can create your templates, your template checklist, you can still import them. You can also start to create the folder structure for organizing those, for keeping them neat and tidy, a little bit more usable from that point of view. We can also figure within RFIs, so you can set up the permissions, who's going to be the creators, who can be the managers and reviewers, that can all now be templated, all set up so it's ready to go as soon as you create your project. We can also configure the workflow, whether it's the standard one or the additional creator, manager, and then 2 reviewers. We can set custom fields, anything additional, any extra information you need to capture against these RFIs. And also you can start to set up within the advanced settings here. We can configure what happens with closed ones, so whether they can be reopened, whether they can be create a revision to them, and also how the visibility works. So whether once they're closed, everybody can view those, or whether it's just still only the individuals that were involved with them. So move on, submittals now, we can also configure. You can set who that submittals manager is going to be. We can start to configure some of the response types. So how, I suppose, there's the wording of what's approved, what's rejected. You can customize those to suit your needs, and also the types of information that you're potentially going to be adding in those submittals can also be configured now. Under assets, we're now able to set our asset categories and subcategories. And within that, you can start to add and link form templates, etc. You can set the status sets that they're using. We can start to add and configure custom fields to particular types of asset where it's required. And equally in the same way with the status sets where you have a particular set of information that's relevant only to a certain type of asset, we can configure that there and apply it to the correct types. And all that obviously will then come through as you set up new projects from this. And then very finally, the last part within the templating, we've now got the ability to create some templates within Takeoff, which we didn't have before. So we're able to configure the project settings for packages, which also includes the measurement systems, the classifications, and any definitions for the takeoff types that you might want to use. I think that pretty much covers them so far.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rob. I think we'll hand over to Steve now. Although I can see Steve's bandwidth is coming and going, so I'm hoping he's going to return quite shortly. So it's bound to happen sooner or later. Steve, you're on mute. Can you hear me? Connected back
Sorry,
on.
my internet's just dropped. Oh.
I think Steve's struggling. Rob, are you still there? I don't know if you know what Steve was going to cover off. Really dropping you in it.
Yeah, I don't know if I do off the top of my head, I'm afraid.
Okay. Let's give Steve 30 seconds. Steve, don't worry about connecting your video. Maybe drop that off. It might help us a bit more bandwidth. Okay. Screen share's coming through. Yeah, screen share's coming through now.
Sorry about that. Don't know what's happening there. It's one of them things from working from home with an internet connection.
It's
okay,
taken us,
apologies for that.
10 months, 11 months to get there. So we've done all right so far. Hopefully it'll hold.
Apologies for that. Right, okay. So what I want to do here is just go through some of the other features really more at a practical level. First of all, what I want to approach is the way that we do clash detection in the platform. As you know, it's been part of BIM 360, model coordination, etc. But now we want to move this on really into how we can use this going forward. Now, as you can see, I mean, obviously this is collaborate, so we can see when the models have actually been issued on the system. But you can see that I've only got 3 models that I'm managing here. And this is a new project status area that's in the system that's allowing us to see what models are in the system, when they were last published, and give us a real quick overview rather than go into the actual swim lanes, etc. Of the system itself. Now, obviously, with coordination, we're pointing at a folder to set up the environment for clashing. And if we've just got these 3 models, what we're looking at is a matrix which will look something like that. Now, obviously, that's not really a way that we can manage the system, because as you know, if you use the likes of Navisworks and things like that, we have search sets in there. And what we've got to look at is how we break these down into a more manageable system. So if I quickly move to this, you can see what I've done here. I've actually got them more into the search sets that we would actually use on a project. So here you can see it's just the 3 discipline models, whereas what I've done here is actually broke them into all the different disciplines. Now that's been done by using Revit, and I can host Revit as an empty file, but link these files in, but create views in Revit. So when I publish Revit back to the system, the views that I've got in there will actually create these sets. So when I actually look at the clash matrix now, you can see how much fragmented it is. And this is where we need to get to manage projects. Because if we've just got models against models, you will know that on some projects, we will end up with thousands of clashes in the system. But by doing this, we're allowing to get into those details that we need to, so we can look at the piping, you know, against the floors and things like that. So you can see I've got 42 clashes there, etc. And obviously if we go into those 42 clashes, I can really get to the detail of what's happening in that system. So you can see now that it's just loading up the floors and the piping, and it's starting to highlight where I've got some of the issues and that with the way it's modeled. Now, one of the new features that's just come in is the fact that we can now add tolerancing. It was missing in the system right from the off, but it's just been released now. And in here, you can see we've got 66 clashes. But if I type, you know, 50 millimeters in there, you can see straight away out of those 66, it's filtered a number out. So I've now lost 49 of the clashes due to the tolerance. And if I change that to 20, you can see now that I've now got 45 clashes. So now we've got this in the system. It's allowing us to use it from early concept scheme design, where we may start a clash session off at 100 to 200 millimeters. So we're focusing on those really key elements and the coordination of those key elements to bring those into the system. And at any point, you know, we can always go back to 5 millimeters and bring it back to that total of 66. Now, what we can do in here as well, if I just close that, because we've now got lots and lots of views in here, which is still the same models, but we've got views, it's allowing us to federate the model slightly different as well and give us more control. So I could come in here and say, let me just have a look at the pipes against the walls, and I could view them. So I can now start filtering what I actually want to review. So think of your procurement system, think about your progress on site. If you're looking at your foundations and your piling and ground drainage, they're the things you need to clash first as you're doing your enabling works and groundworks on the sites, etc. So you can see here now I've just got these two elements, but I can add and remove things as I wish. So I may come in here and say, okay, add the mechanical HVAC system as well. So as you can see now, there you go. That's now got the HVAC in there, and I can remove that as I wish. But if I now look at the clashes of them, it is just focused on those three elements. Yeah, so it's really filtering the way that we can do things. And again, I've now got the flexibility to put, say, a 50 mil clash tolerance. So out of that 125 clashes, I'm now down to 32. And from here, as you know, if you've used a system, we can come through here and start to review these. So, you know, anything that's common, so I could look at this, so you can see it's the same pipe passing through two objects. It's starting to group these. Now that may be a fact that these two walls here are studded walls, so that's not in fact a clash. So I could click that and say that's not an issue. Yeah, I can give that a title, a reason, it's a valid interface, and it okay. That's now reduced out of the clash matrix itself. If I pick one of these, no, that pipe's going through. Yet two walls again. You can see it's automatically grouped them, but these are structural walls, so that is an issue. So from here, I can create the pin, which will activate as a BCF file and link to Navisworks and Revit if we need to. And the issue itself can be brought to life and be issued to an assignee. So this might go over to myself. But also what we can do is add watchers now. So these are people who can monitor this, and you know, you can add whoever you wish to this system, and then they can actually keep a view of it and monitor it as the assignee is closing out that action. So again, just a nice new feature in the clash management side, but you can see over the progress over the last few months, really, with watchers, with tolerancing and things like that, we're being able to get more management of this. And you know, don't think that you have to come in here every time as well and create these federation of models like you've got this, because I've got three here, which is piping, mechanical and walls. Now, if I want to keep a review of that, I can just hit Save View. I can say this is, mech against pipe against wall, so I know what it is. And I can keep that private, or I can publish that to the whole team, and I can hit save. Now what that means is going forward, I can come in to these views elements, and you can see there's the mech pipe walls. If I just want walls and mech, that's a previous one I made, but if I click that, it will load up the relevant models. You can see it's only loading 3, and the relevant clash now goes straight to it. So as models get updated, it's allowing us to really fragment the way that we manage this system and look at the clashes that we've got in there. And don't forget, these clashes are generated automatically. So as models are updated, if you're using Collaborate Pro, as things are issued into the swim lanes, and when I say swim lanes, I mean, here, so we've got full visibility of when models are issued. When we issue them, it's updating that clash matrix automatically. It's updating the clashes automatically. And, with the workflow back to Navis and Revit now, with that BCF type functionality, it's given us a nice round trip, really, of where the information is going and coming from. So really nice feature. Another one that's just come out, really, and it's still in beta, is something called Bridge. Now, what Bridge is a way that we can actually share information across projects. So you may have a client system that they're hosting, sort of published information that may be going for as constructed data, but you may have something that you wish to share with them. And you can see here now in Build, on your home page, we have got this Bridge area. So if you click this will start showing you what drawings, models, anything has been shared with you as incoming, or what view shared going out. And the difference being here is, if we just go to the sheets area and we pick a sheet and we share that. So let's just pick this, we hit share. You can see now that we've not just got the 2 that we originally had, which was anybody in the project or anyone externally. So if you click this one, yes, you can share it externally, and you can say the link expires on a date, so it works. They can't view it, they have to download it when they receive the link, but they can access the data. This one here now is the new Bridge, so we can now share it with another project. So you can pick which project you wish to share it with. It could be this one, click share, and that's tracked in the system. So if I come back to my home page, you can see now that if I go back to the Bridge element at the bottom here and look at my outgoing, I can see exactly what I've shared out of the system. And if anybody shared anything with me, that will be then in the incoming. Okay, so a nice new feature, ideal if you're looking to link things together without doing any scripting or using ACC Connect or anything like that, but just a great way to pass data between projects, but keep trackability of that and know what's happening, etc., and who you've actually sent it to. So you've got all that recorded in the system, which I think is really good. Another feature as well that's been added to Build, again, it's in beta, so it's early days, but we always appreciate yourselves, our clients, in how you want to use these features, and feedback from yourselves is always priceless to us, because that's how we develop and put suggestions into Autodesk. So these things what we're showing you today, if you have got comments on them, please come back to us with any suggestions, and we'll see what we can do with the development team on Autodesk to get those suggestions over to them. So what progress tracking is a way for you to start looking at the elements in a build that you might want to track. Now, what you can do first is use this configuration tool here. Now you can see I've set it up so I've got doors, so I might be, is the door ordered, been delivered, has it been hung, is the furniture fitted on it, is the locks fitted, has it been signed off? So that might be the progress you want to track against the doors. Rooms, have they been painted, carpeted, furnitured, locked up on completion on site? Air systems, M&E systems, has the material been delivered on site, first fix, second fix, final, commission, and walls? And basically we can add anything we wish here. You know, it might be columns. So again, you could come in here, put a column in there as your main, just like that, and hit next. So we've now got a category, and then what do you want to think? So it's, has it been delivered? Has it been erected? Oops, if it clicks in there. Has it been erected? Has it been, you know, the connections on it? You can add whatever you wish in this system so you can track this. Now, once we've got the categories and objects we wish to track and the stages you wish to track, we then come to these overviews. So what these overviews are doing is literally telling us, you know, where we are with each of those components that we're actually looking to track. So you can see them in walls. I could change to any of these. We've obviously just made columns. So if I went over to rooms, you know, this data will update then and show you exactly what's happening with the rooms, etc. And what it's doing, it's drawing all the data, which I'll show you how we push this in. So you can see yesterday we had some rooms painted because obviously the percentage went up of the rooms. So I'm now 75% complete of the painting. I've still got 25% of the room still to complete. I've now started carpeting. I've not no furniture installed, but you can start seeing the activity. If I go back to walls, you can see here that there's some nice analytics coming through here because the blue line is showing the studded walls. So you can see there, blue, red is the stud. So the red's the stud line. So I installed Monday, Tuesday, quite a lot of stud work, but the plasterer is not catching up. So I've now got a gap between what's plastering and where the stud work's gone in. So I can start looking at that to see if I can track progress. Now, the way this works, it's all linked to 2D drawings. It's got to be quick, it's got to be simple, but the idea of this, it's not just desktop, you can do this on from an iPad as well. So if I go back to Sheets in here, and within this, I'll just open a drawing. Now, what we can do is we can set this drawing up then to capture those categories that we've just created. So over here now, you'll see that we've got progress tracking, and I can show the progress markups. So what this is really setting up the system. These are things I've already taken off as such. So you can see I've started doing that. You know, but if we went into sort of, let's say this area, and we were looking at the walls, I can simply click on progress tracking. I am looking to monitor the walls. And how do I want to do it? So I might put a linear over here. So all I do is simply just draw over the top of the walls. So you can set your drawings up before you go onto site. So you can simply just draw over them like I'm doing there, like so. Okay, and then when you're on site or in the site office or anything, you can literally go and click the wall and say what's happening. So now the stud work's completed on that one. It might be on this wall, that's actually been plastered, this wall, but you can see how quick and easy it is. And you know, it might not be that. You might want to close that down and start doing progress tracking on the rooms themselves. So you can see we've got various rooms here. If I click this now again, rooms, this time I'll say, okay, that's a room. There's another room. So you can see how quick and easy it is. It doesn't have to be accurate. It's just to give the people out on site a good object to actually click on, etc. So you can see I can quickly go around like that. And then as I select them, like say out with the iPad, your phone, you can say, right, that room's been painted. If I click on it, that room there now has been carpeted. That room there has had furniture fitted in it. And as we're tracking this through the desktop and iPad, we're actually updating those analytics. You know, so this is so easy to set up, but use it out on site with the ability to be able to get out there. So a nice new feature, but it's in beta. So, you know, it's early days, but to be able to get into that and start using it and make suggestions would be really key to how it goes. And as you've done that in the model, this all starts updating, the graphs update, so you can start seeing, and it's not just percentage, we can start doing measurements, because the PDF that we're drawing on is linear calibrated, so we can start seeing the lengths of things that we've completed, or we can start doing accounts. So you can see now I've got 13 walls, 5 have been stud works complete, 4 have been plastered, etc. Or we can use the percentage, so you know exactly what's happening with all those walls. So I think quite useful. I think the ease of this is the simplicity to get it out there. So yeah, hopefully a nice feature there. The last one I really want to cover that's just been released is something called Schedule. Now, if you remember in BIM 360, there used to be a tool, or there still is a tool, called BIM 360 Plan. And that's used for short-term planning. This isn't to replace that tool, okay? BIM 360 Plan is still available and still being used for short-term planning. What Schedule gives you within the build module of ACC is the ability to upload a Gantt chart. Okay, now if I just go back there, you can see here I can have various Gantt charts loaded. I can import Aster, P6 or Microsoft Project. So no matter which planning tool you're using, you can have them listed here. Again, exactly the same on a mobile device out on site. And the idea of it is to give people more visibility of the actual construction plan, what we're all working to, what we're actually delivering against. And the idea of this is I can pick any task, and once I get into the task, all the data that's been brought through from the planning tools are actually listed in this list. So I can start seeing predecessors, date I need to get finished by, when I should have started this. And the best thing about this is, yes, I don't want to change that plan. I'm not the planner. I might be a design manager, a site manager, an engineer out on site. I'm the one that needs to tell the planner where I'm at with it. So I might say pick the planner, I'll pick myself. Task is now 50% complete, and submit it. As soon as I've done that, this person will be notified of that comment. They can then amend the Gantt chart. You know, and to be able to do that live out on site as you're looking at these activities, I think it's really key. Like I say, we don't want to amend this. You know, the idea of it is we just being able to view the Gantt chart, the construction plan, but influence the information, you know, because if you look at this and percentage completes at 0, how do we normally get that data back to those planners? You know, usually it's meetings, scribbling on paper, all sorts, but this is a way to get the data out onto site, to give everybody visibility of the tasks and actions, and being able to report back on certain things so we can really look to close them out. So hopefully that's give you a good insight into some of the new features that have come out. It's nice now that Autodesk have sort of structured this so it's sort of like bi-monthly. So they come out in batches of data rather than it used to be every 2 weeks, and we all used to try and keep up to date with the information and the updates. But hopefully you've seen with what Rob's shown you and some of the new features that many are in beta, what's happening to the platform, where we're heading now, and you know, come and chat to us. We're always interested to hear your views of how you want to use it, whether these tools you've not got them working correctly and we can help you implement them, or whether you want to get them out on site. Give us a shout. We'll come down to your site. We'll take them out on site with you, and we can look at the best way to get these working for you moving forward. So with that said and done, I'd like to pass you back to Rich to close out the session.
Okay, we will be presenting at both London Build in 2 weeks' time and also at Digital Construction Week in 3 weeks' time. So please come and join us on stand. We will have some interesting bits of new technology kicking about that you'll also be able to try, and we can talk you through some of the new applications and offerings that we have available. So it'd be great to see you there. Hope a few of you at least are coming down and we can have a coffee, a beer, or something else. So we'll catch up with you then. We will also be doing a Work Smarter Wednesday from London Build. So we will be doing talking with suppliers, talking with customers, talking with people who are attending to find out what they're presenting, what they're interested in seeing, what the key topics that are being brought up at the event are, and then just playing that back, feeding that back in one of these sessions to give you a bit of an overview as to the feel from the event if you can't attend, and just give you a bit more information about what's going on and the trends we're seeing.